Hello everyone, good evening, welcome to the class. Can someone please affirm if my audio and video are fine? Okay, thank you so much. So we'll be beginning with the class in 3-4 more minutes, and I would request all of you to make the use of chat box while replying. So we will look at each question for around 30 to 40 seconds, and then we would start typing in our answers in the chat box, and after that we will discuss the answer, right? So this is a mock test. I have gone through various previous year question papers, other papers as well, and I have made this 50 questions which are there, and I think that you all will be able to ace it and it will be a fruitful class. So let's just wait till 4-3 or 4-4 and then we would begin with the class. Alright, so I have received few questions from like few students, and they wanted answers for that. Like they were a little confused. So I hope all of you are there in the Telegram or WhatsApp group, either one of them. So you can like send your doubts there in the discussion area of the Telegram, and in my personal DM on WhatsApp, I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. So, okay, just give it 2 more minutes and then you will be beginning with our quiz. Is there a disturbance of voice or video? Is it any better now? Okay, then I believe we should begin with our class. And I'm changing the slide. So this is our first question. Read the question carefully, give it 30 seconds, and then start replying in the chat. Okay, very well done. All of you have answered correctly. It is D. So the question asks if the information is not properly attended to. So if we are not even paying attention, then there must be a problem with the encoding, and it might not be remembered because of that. And there are other options which are proactive interference. We know proactive interference is when an old memory is interfering with a new memory. There is forward acting, that is proactive interference. Cue dependent forgetting is like we are not able to recognize an information on the basis of the because of the environmental cues which are there. And motivated forgetting is conscious suppression of the memory. We want to forget that particular memory. So very well done each one of you. We are moving to the next question. Question number 2. Please give it a read and try to answer. Okay, very well done everyone. All of you have answered correctly. It is going to be 1K area. Why? The question says that Jim suffered a stroke that damaged a discrete part of his cerebral cortex. Since the stroke, Jim has experienced severe problem comprehending the speech, but he does not have any problem in speaking. So our Broca's area is still intact, because of which the speech has not been affected, but Wernicke area has been affected. Very well done everyone. Moving ahead to the next question. Question number 3. Okay, so we have received various mixed answers for this particular question. Now let us read this question. So the question is based on the Kohlberg's theory, Kohlberg's gender constancy theory. In this particular theory, there are three stages. First of all, the person or the child will start to label themselves with a particular gender. It happens till the age of 3.5. Right? The child will start to tell, like they would be able to tell or they would be able to differentiate the difference on the basis of appearance. So, at stage 1, appearance matters a lot. Then comes gender stability. Right, gender stability is from the year 3.5 to 4.5. Here the child starts to realize that his or her gender is constant. Right, but still they are not really sure about the gender of other people. They are not really sure if other people's gender are because of that, but for them they are believing that their gender has become persistent. The labeling has become persistent. Right, but at the last stage, gender constancy stage, the gender will start to becoming constant, and it would be constant for everyone, so we would not be dependent upon the appearance and the other aspect. So here the answer would be gender stability. So they have come to understand that their gender remains constant over time, their own gender. So it's gender stability. But if they would have been non-dependent on appearance also, then it could be gender constancy as well. Right. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 4. Please give it a read and try to answer. Wait, let me change the dimensions of the slide, okay? Okay, I think the screen must be visible now. The question is still here only. The cones are the specific receptors found along the retina and the eye that are sensitive to color rays. Yes, this is the function of the cones. And second, sensory adaptation occurs when sensory receptor reduce their responsiveness to a stimuli after repeated exposure. Yes, when we are exposed to a particular sensory stimuli for the first time, then the reaction or the response is really, like, it's really intense. But then after a point of time, when we are exposed to that particular stimuli for a longer period of time, the responsiveness would decrease. So very well done everyone. 1A, most of you have answered it correctly. Both these statements are correct. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 5. Okay, very well done everyone. Or most of you have answered correctly. Cerebellum is the correct answer. Cerebellum plays a very important role in balance and coordination of muscle movement, whereas medulla is basically responsible for the survival basic function, pons for sleep regulation, thalamus is the relay center. Right. So, very well done. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 6. What is the percentile rank of a person with a Z score of +2? Okay, very well done. I'm so glad to see most of you answering correctly. 98 is going to be the correct answer. Why? Because whenever we plot a normal probability curve in the first standard deviation, how many percent of people do we have? 34%, right? Then we have in the second domain, we have 14%. And at last we have 2% each. So it would be -1, +1, plus -2, +2, and -3, and +3. So within the two, like a person with a score of +2. So all of these would be added till now. Only 2 is left. So 98 is going to be our correct answer. Very well done everyone. I'm so glad that most of you, all of you answered it correctly. Very well done. Moving ahead to the next question. Which of the following is true for the normal probability distribution? Okay, so is the normal probability curve asymmetrical? No, it is symmetrical in nature. Mean, median, and mode, all of them will coincide. It is also known as Gaussian curve because it was proposed by Karl Gross. And then at last it ranges from -2 to +2. No, theoretically it ranges from -infinity to +infinity, and when we plot it, then it ranges from -3 to +3. Okay, very well done everyone. So B and C are the only viable options here. 3 is our answer. Very well done everyone. Then moving ahead to the next question. The next question asks us, according to Piaget, an infant who searches for a toy that has been removed from the view. Okay, very well done. Yes, it is a sign of object permanence that they believe that even if they are not able to see the object, still it exists. Decentration is there when the child is able to think from other people's perspective as well, and centration is measured from 3 mountain tasks, and we see the perception of the child. Then conservation is whenever, like even when we change the particular, like maybe a utensil, if we transfer water from a particular utensil to the other, we still believe that the quantity remains the same. Then transformational thought, we are able to think, well, now it will happen in the concrete stage. Okay, very well done everyone. Moving ahead to question number 9. There are two statements which are given. Read them and answer carefully. Okay, very well done everyone. Let us read the statements. The statement says that opponent process theory can explain the phenomena of after effects. Yes, it does. Who proposed the theory of opponent process? Then let us read the statement. Till now you tell me who proposed the theory of opponent process. Then the next statement is, our perception of color is determined by varying degree of activation of 3 color receptors. Yes, there are 3 color receptors, RGB. This is also based in a theory of color vision. By whom? Young and Helmholtz. And this theory was actually proposed by Herring, right? Where there are two colors which are contradictory to each other. There is white, black, there is red, green, and yellow, blue. Then in color perception theory, initially it was proposed by Young, and then Helmholtz actually elaborated on that. So both of the statements are correct. So 1 is our correct answer. Moving ahead to the next question. Question number 10. In his well-known model of intelligence in the dimension of content, Guilford has included which of the following? Choose which were the part of content in the dimensional theory of Guilford. Okay, I'm so sorry. I think my voice should be audible now. So basically, I was discussing that why are we confused in this particular model? This particular model was given by Guilford. It is SOI model, structure of intellect model, right? And it had three component, three dimension: content, products, and operations. What was there in operation? There were all the mental processes. Content was the domain in which the information was available, and then at last products are the output which are there, which comes from the interaction. So the content, we need to tell us ki which were included in the content dimension. The information can be there in figural form, it can be there in relational form, it can be there in symbolic form, but memory is a operation, it cannot be there in content. So even if you don't remember all of that, just use this particular logic and you will be able to answer, right? So very well done, all of you who have answered correctly. One, two, no, okay, no. 1, 2 and 3 are the correct options here. Moving ahead to the next question. Next question discusses about the stages of problem solving. Okay, I think there is a mistake which was there. Figural. I thought it's visual. It's figural. So 1 is not there. 2 and 4, 2 and 3 would be the correct answer only. Is figural here? No, figural is not here. Okay, so I think there was some issue with the options only. So just leave it for now. Don't count this as your question. There was some error. Leave it for now. So stages of problem solving. Solve this and also tell me who proposed this particular theory or the stages of problem solving which are there. I think figural is also known as visual. I'll check and I will update the same in the class. In the the PDF that I'll be sending after the class, I'll update it there. Okay, very well done, all of you. We have preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. And Lochan actually answered it correctly. These stages was given by Graham Wallace in the year 1926. Very well done. Okay, moving ahead to question number 12. Okay, very well done. Let us read the question. The question says that suppose you learned how to operate one VCR. Okay, now you buy a new one. So there was this old VCR which was there, and now we have bought a new one which requires different steps for recording a television program. If now you make the mistake by trying to operate the new, we try to operate the new one in the same way as we did the old one, so the new information is getting affected because of the old information. So old information is getting in the way of the new information, which is forward acting, which is proactive interference. So A is our correct answer. Moving ahead to the next question. This is a matching type question. There are various theories of motivation and we have to match them to the central themes. Okay, let us read it. The question says that drive theory would be the biological needs that push us to action. It is based on the principle of homeostasis. So P is our 4. Then Arousal theory states that our general level of activation leads to the optimization. Yerkes Dodson law is also there. So Q is 1. Then expectancy theory is what? Expectancy theory is that our behavior will get determined by the outcome that is expected, that is desirable by us. So R is 3, and goal setting theory is that we will be more motivated to do anything when we set some specific and challenging goals. So S is for 3. Yes. So our answer is A. Very well done, everyone. Most of you are answering correctly. I'm so glad to see. Okay, then the question is based on Yerkes Dodson law. Okay, I should not have said about anything about Yerkes Dodson law. Okay, anyway, try to solve it. Yes, Lochana is 2. Okay, yes, Yerkes Dodson law states that it is based on the arousal theory. It states that our performance will get affected by the level of arousal. This is the curve which is there, right? So if the arousal is very very low and the performance is also low, it will lead to fatigue, or it will lead, like, it will be sleeplessness for the people. But if the performance is very low, like if the person does not have the skill, but the arousal that it is creating is really really high, for example not being prepared for the exam, the, like, the performance is not that high, but still strong stress is going to be there and it is impacting the performance as well. For example, what happens in the exams, even though we know what to do, even but we are so much anxious, our performance will get affected. So a balance of our performance or of our arousal should be there, a moderate level of arousal should be there, then only we will be able to give out the optimum level of, or the perfect level of performance. So moderate level of anxiety and moderate level of arousal is important. Moving ahead to question number 15. Blind spot in the retina contains what? Okay, very well done. So many responses on this one. Blind spot contains neither rod cell nor cone cell. It is this particular area where our optic nerves are moving. There would be no, like, the image would get formed on the retina, and fovea is the yellow spot wherein the best visual acuity is there. Moving ahead to question number 16. The process of interpreting new information in terms of an existing schema is termed as what? Also let me know whose theory is it based in. Okay, very well done. Most of you have answered it correctly. It is assimilation when we try to include something or interpret some information according to the existing schema. It would be assimilation. For example, we said that like anything, like for example, people have 5 fingers. Okay, so they understood, okay, people have 5 toes as well. So it is adding on, or we are learning it in terms of the existing schema that we have or the existing information that we have, but accommodation would need the modification of the existing stimuli. Very well done. Most of you have answered it correctly also. It was given by Jean Piaget. Very well done. And both centration and conservation are also a part of Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Very well done, everyone. Moving ahead to question number 17. It is a little lengthy. Give it a read and then we would answer. Okay, let us try reading the question. Why are we confused in it? Okay, let's read it. So, a researcher was interested in studying the effect of domestic violence on children in major cities in a state. Okay, the researcher found that official data did not exist for all the cities. So, she made a list of all the cities for which the data was available. Then she randomly selected few cities for data collection. So we have to tell which sampling method has she adopted. She has adopted cluster sampling. Guys, the geographical sampling, when we have a large geographical area and we cannot go and read or collect the data from all the geographic areas which are available, we select a few and go there and collect their data. There are a lot of students who have answered convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is whoever people are available to us, we just go to them and we collect the data. Herein, first of all, she was using a secondary data, the official data which was already there, right? And like it was not convenient to her. Okay, so I have attached this particular picture. So simple random sampling is everyone has an equal chance of getting selected. Systematic sample is there when the population is finite and we select the kth person who is there. Then stratified sampling is there when we have this is also there used in a large population, but we have different sections there. For example, in Uttar Pradesh there are various cities such as UP, such as in UP there are various cities. I'm so sorry. There is Varanasi, Lucknow, so on and so forth. So we are going to each city and collecting some of the data. So we are going to each city and collecting some of the data, right? But in cluster sampling, when there is a large geographical area that we have to deal with and the sample from the other area is not accessible or it is out of reach for us, then we would go to one particular area and select all the people from that particular area. It is cluster sampling. So the answer here was cluster sampling. Kudos to all of you who answered correctly. Just read the question a little more in depth. Just don't go theory, just don't go language wise. Like for example, maybe in the language it must have occurred to you that okay, it is convenient to the person, that's why they have gone through, but don't go on language. Always apply it, always relate it to whatever you have read, okay, and then answer. Okay, moving ahead to question number 18th. Okay, most of you have answered correctly. It is going to be acquiescence. Let us see why. The test developer used reverse coding of certain items in order to offset the effect of acquiescence. Why? Why acquiescence? For example, there are 10 questions, and for all question I have 5 options such as strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So most of the people would do what? They would keep on ticking agree, 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 agree to everyone, to all the questions. So if there is reverse coding, then we would get to know, okay, that the person has actually agreed to the statement just like that, not, it is not their actual response. Social desirability is something very different. So in social desirability, you can use maybe double blind studies to offset the effect. Then faking also, random responding is like that also, like they have like 1 3 4 5, so patterns are there which can be observed. Okay, but acquiescence is just acceptance or agreeing to any response just like that. Moving ahead to question number 19. Okay, everyone, very well done. I thought that most a lot of you will get it wrong, but then I'm so impressed to see a lot of you have gotten it correct. Yes, if the demyelinization has happened and it has happened around the body of the axons, so obviously now there will be slower nerve conduction times. Okay, there can't be rerouting, cortical brain lesions, no, there would be slower nerve conduction. Very well done, everyone. You are doing so good so far. Moving ahead to the next question. In ANOVA, error variance is computed by considering what? Okay, guys, why between group? No. In ANOVA or in F test, we have three types of variance, right? We have between group, then we have error group or within group variance, and then we have total variance. So between group variance is the main variance. In ANOVA, we conduct ANOVA on two or more groups. So I wanted to check if male and female differed on a particular variable. So my between group is the main concern, right? This is what I am looking for. I want to see the difference between the groups. So how can it be error variance? It is the primary variance that I am observing. No correction term is totally different. It is something that we calculate. It can't be there. Within group is the error. Why? Let me add another slide and explain. So for example, I took two groups, male and female, and in both the groups there are 10 people each. Let's consider 5 for now. Okay, so in ANOVA I wanted to see the difference of male and female on a particular variable x. So this is the between group difference or the between group variance. But there would be people who would differ in the group also within the group itself, like males would also differ on the level of this particular variable x. For example, talking about social support. So the first male will also have a different level of social support, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Same goes for female. Now these differences will interfere with our between group variance. It will offset this particular variance. It will deviate that particular variance. That's why we actually calculate the error variance or the within group variance in order to see what was the difference within the group itself. So that is the error here, because between group is the main concern. So 3 would be the answer. I hope it has become more clear to you. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 21. Okay, very good everyone. The answer is learning that occurs in the absence of reward. Is it the innate response? No, it is learned. Is it the unconscious meaning that is attributed? No, it is the learning has already occurred and now it will be showcased when it will be required. The learning that occurred even when there were no reward which was available. And no, it's not even that. So D is the correct answer. Very well done everyone. Question number 22. There are few terms which are related to attention and their description have been given. Try to answer. This was a question which was there in set. The questions are a little confusing. There are certain aspects of it which are wrong also, but try to answer the best option which fits, because in NTA exam there are a lot of questions which are formed like that. That's why I've included this particular question, so that you know what to answer. Okay, very well done, everyone. Let us read the question now. Selective attention. We know selective attention is that we are responding to one stimuli among multiple stimuli which are there. We are ignoring the distractive stimuli and focusing just on one. Then divided attention. Divided attention is we are focusing on multiple stimuli at the same time. Then spontaneous attention. Here we have matched spontaneous attention with one, but actually this is the description for top down attention. So it was a little incorrect. And S was focused attention is the concentration on or concentration of the mental ability, concentration or focusing upon something simple. So 4, 3, 1 and 2, it had most of the answers, so we are matching on to this. So there are a lot of times when questions will be like that, where there will be a little confusion. Please go ahead with the answer which has maximum of the options correct. Okay, then moving ahead to the next question, question number 23. Fairly simple question, please try and answer. Correct, very well done. Unwarranted suspiciousness and mistrust of other people, all the other options are irrelevant. All of you have answered it correctly. Moving ahead to question number 24. Okay guys, do one thing, mention the question number and then mention the answer, because now all the options, like all the answers have mixed. So try doing that. Okay, mention the question number and then the option. Okay, very few people have answered this correctly. The answer is option number 3. When we have to adapt to the light, ठीक है, when we have to adapt to the light, when there is light adaptation, then the rhodopsin is actually decomposed or degenerated, and when we have to do the dark adaptation, then it is synthesized again or it is regenerated again. Rhodopsin is important, or it is used for rod cells also. It is there in rod cells also. So dark adaptation is the answer. Very few of you have answered correctly, but very well done to all of those who have. Always remember, if there is degeneration of rhodopsin, it is light. Remember, rod cells are better for the dark night equity, right? So remember it by that, like use it as a, like, learning point, and then remember, okay, road cells are for lower acuity, and we can see in the dark, like night also through that. So if that cell is getting regenerated, then it is for the dark adaptation. But if it is getting decomposed or uh, desensitized, then it is going to be for the light adaptation. Very well done to all of you who have answered correctly. Moving towards question number 25. Okay, very well done, everyone. 96% of the people fall in the like first two standard deviation. We have also done it. We have made the NPC curve in the previous questions also. 34 in the first standard deviation, 14 in the second, and if we add 34 plus 34 plus 16 plus 14 plus 14, it will give us 96. Or you can also deduct 2 and 2 which are there in the last standard deviation. So 96 is our answer. Very well done, everyone. Moving ahead to question number 26. Okay, very well done. The answer is interposition. When the when the second object blocks the view of the first object, then we consider the first object to be nearer to us. It is known as interposition. Very well done, everyone. Moving ahead to question number 27. Aggressive behavior appears to be inhibited by which brain structure? Okay, okay, everyone. The answer to this particular question was septum. Actually, there have been a lot of researches wherein it was seen that when we remove the septal area or when there is a lesion in septal area, it leads to septal ridge. So we can say that this particular area, septum, which is a very very small area in the brain, has to do a lot with the aggressive behaviors. Okay, because its lesioning can lead to septal rage, so it inhibits the aggressive behavior. Moving ahead to question number 28. The exochromosome combination in female is primarily associated with which of the following genetic disorder? हाँ guys, सब आंसर कर दो, A then B then C and then D. Very nice. Okay, anyway, let's read this question. I see that a lot of you are not able to answer. So PKU is basically phenylketonuria, and it is when the child is not able to digest the phenylalkylamine, due to which there would be a lot of toxins which would be there in the child, which would get collected in the child's body. So this, like, there are a lot of like, it is a autosomal disease only, and it their milk products are also asked to not take, like, there, because the child is not able to digest that itself. Then Klinefelter syndrome is when the person has the XXY like gene in the 23rd pair of the chromosome. So there are three chromosomes there, XXY. Down syndrome is trisomy 21, guys. It's XO. Aggressive antisocial behavior is not a genetic disorder. Like, it has nothing to do with the gene abnormality. Turner syndrome is basically when the 23rd pair of the autosomes or chromosomes are XO. So there is just one pair of X which is available here, and there are not a lot of what do we say, major complications which are there if the person is just, or if the girl is just born with XO. But if there are other internal organs which are harmed, then there would be a life threat, but they might have a, like, a little difficulty in fertility and all of those aspects, or they would also have like, very low stature. Okay, so these are various genetic abnormality or genetic disorders which are there. Okay, moving ahead, question number 29. Okay, let me take the option. Yes, question number 29. According to Wolfgang Kohler, when one of his chimps fastened two sticks together to reach a bunch of banana, it was evidence of what? Okay, very well done. Most of you have answered correctly. It is insight learning. Insight learning is the sudden occurrence of learning after a period of incubation. Very well done. Wolfgang Kohler actually worked upon the insight learning. Moving ahead to question number 30. It is based in research. Please read it carefully and then answer. Ishika, it could have been like trial and error learning also, but remember, whenever we solve a question in psychology, we always relate it to the theory of the person and then we answer. Because then a lot of other options will also start making sense if we don't relate to the theory. So it's really important to relate to the theory. Okay. Okay, guys, let us read the question. The question says that a researcher is interested in the relationship between political affiliation, whether they affiliate to the Democrat Party or Republicans or Independent, on their eye color. So, we have eye color, then we have the affiliation Democrat, Republic, and Independent. And now we have to segregate between what color their eye is, blue, brown, or green. Okay, now we can see that it is a nominal data, it is categorical in nature. And when we have nominal data which is categorical in nature, we always use chi-square test. T-test and ANOVA are what? They are simply the parametric test. They do not cater to the nominal data. They cater to the like interval or ratio data, and the non-parametric test cater to the nominal or ordinal data. So chi-square test is the answer here. Very well done. Moving ahead to question number 31. Give it a read and answer. Also, I would say try to answer. Even if you are answering incorrectly, answer incorrect here, not in the exam. Try to answer, okay? Okay, why do we guys do not know about Piaget's theory? Initially, also when there was other question which was there, we were confused. D is the answer here. Formal operation. Let us see why. So we have four stages. We have sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Sensory motor is when the child is experiencing the world through their various senses that they have, and in that particular stages, the child will start to look at the object initially. When the child, initially it is like out of sight out of mind, right? But by the age of 2 years, the child develops object permanence. They know that even when the object is not in front of their eyes or in their vision, but even it still continues to exist, right? Then when the child moves towards the pre-operational stage, they start to represent things with words and images, right? So here the child would begin indulged in, like they would start to pretend play, role playing. Then egocentrism would also be there in this. Centration would be there. The child would only and only know about their concept. They would know what they see. They think what they see is the reality. And language development also starts to occur here. And then there is animism as well here. Then at concrete operational stage, when the child is about 7 to 11 years, they start to think logically. They start to grasp the basic simple stuff, the concrete analogies. So they would start understanding the law of conservation, or the transformational thought or mathematical understanding would be there. Then post 12 years, it is a formal operational stage. Herein the child will be able to think about the abstract ideas, hypothetical scenarios. So here there would be abstract knowledge, potential for moral reasoning, and there would be hypothetical deductive reasoning as well. And the scientists indulge in the hypothetical deductive reasoning. So formal operational stage is the stage where the child will start to think like a scientist. Okay, moving ahead to question number 32. Please read and answer. Okay, correct. All of you have answered correctly. It is going to be double blind experiment, and when only the participant are not aware in which group they are or in which condition they are, it is known as single blind. Okay, moving towards the next question. Question number 33, fairly simple question. Remembering that the capital of Canada is Ottawa requires which kind of memory? Okay, very well done everyone. It is a part of semantic memory, because that Canada is like the capital of Canada is Ottawa is a factual information, and it is a type of semantic memory. Moving ahead to question number 34. The question is response to experience or damage. Okay, Brain's response to experience or damage is called what? Okay, very well done. The response of the brain to any damage or any experience is neuroplasticity. The brain will start to reorganize its function, and the other brain structure will start to adapt to the functions which were initially undertaken by the damaged area. Very well done, everyone. C is our correct answer. Moving ahead to question number 35. Okay, very well done. Dopamine is responsible. Dopamine is linked with both schizophrenia and Parkinson disease. Now tell me what happens in schizophrenia. Dopamine level increase or decrease, and what happens in Parkinson's? Yes, very well done. The dopamine will increase in schizophrenia, and in Parkinson there would be an inability to produce dopamine. Very well done, everyone. Moving ahead to question number 36. Giving alcoholics antabuse to make them feel nauseous if they drink alcohol is an example of which type of therapy? Very well done, everyone. It is the example of aversion therapy. Exposure therapy is kind of based on like tolerance, or maybe it can be systematic type, like systematic desensitization, somewhat of that sort. ECT is electroconvulsive therapy, AAT is animal assisted therapy. It has no relevance here. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 37, fairly simple question. Very well done. Placebo effect is there when the improvement is there, when the patient is just expecting to feel better even though they are not receiving any actual treatment, or even though the treatment is there, the more improvement is there because of the feeling. So it's a placebo effect. Moving ahead, like, okay, there is a negative version of placebo effect also, which is known as nocebo effect. ठीक है, when the patient expects to feel worse, then they feel worse even after receiving the treatment. ठीक है, so it is the negative counterpart of it. Moving ahead to question number 38. Visual accommodation involves a change in which of these structure? Okay, very well done. Most of you have answered correctly. The visual accommodation involves a change in the structure of lens, basically the curvature of the lens. First of all, we have cornea, which is the like aqueous aqueous layer which is above our iris, above our pupil. Then the light will enter our eye. Then we have lens there, which is controlled by the ciliary muscles. ठीक है, so ciliary muscles will basically help us in stretching or help us in changing the curvature of this particular lens through which the light will pass. If you have also observed that when we have to read something which is like very very small, we like squint our eyes a little, right? It is basically to change the curvature of the lens. Okay, so visual accommodation will involve a change in the curvature of lens. Cornea cannot change, retina, fovea, they all cannot change. Okay, so is our correct answer here. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 39. Okay, very well done everyone. Only red and blue is not a set, otherwise all of them are set of the operant process theory proposed by Herring, wherein black and white is there. So if I look at black for a longer period of time, and when I look around I will see white, and vice versa. Same for red and green, then blue and yellow. So very well done. A is the only set of operant colors which are not there. Moving ahead to question number 40. Okay, all of you have answered correctly. The auditory, like the sensory memory of like related to audition is known as echoic, and like to visual it is also known as iconic or eidetic. So is the correct answer here. Very well done everyone. Moving towards the next question, question number 41. Okay, very well done everywhere. Let us read the question. Magnus was locked in a room. The only way to escape was to force open a window and climb out. But Magnus remained locked in the room because he never thought to use his key to force the window. It is based in functional fixedness, and candle problem was there. If you would have read about functional fixedness, then there was a candle problem. Moving ahead to question number 42. Only 8 questions are left after that. We solved it with a good speed. Buckle up. We are at a good pace. Okay, very well done. The process of repeating a previously published scientific experiment is basically replication, and we have also kept the original experiment specification. So it's replication. Moving ahead to question number 43. Standard deviation is the dash of variance score. Very well done. Standard deviation is the square root of the variance, or we can say that variance is the square of standard deviation. There can be question which can be asked where you are given the value of standard deviation, you have to calculate variance and vice versa. So you should always know this formula. Variance is the square of standard deviation. Moving ahead to question number 44. It is a matching type question. Give it a read and try to solve. Okay, let us read the question. So, fixed interval, which means that we will be providing reinforcement after a specific period of pre-decided time. So, C. Then variable interval is, it is given by, it will be, the reinforcement will be given after a random period of time, after a random amount of time has passed. Then we know ratio are based on the number of responses. So fixed ratio is, there is a specified number of responses which are there, and variable ratio is reinforcement will be presented after a random number of correct responses. So C D A B. C D A B is C. So very well done. Most of you have answered correctly. I've also added the graphs which are there for each of them. Variable ratio works the best. There can be questions which can be there asked. Those of you who attended the crash course that we did on cognitive psychology, we discussed it there also. So the ratio schedules will always be better than that of interval schedules. So firstly, variable ratio would be there. It is there for gambling and all. Then fixed ratio is there. After a fixed number of time, we will get the reinforcement. Then we would like doze off a little. Then it would keep on continuing, but still it is better than interval ratios. Then for variable ratio, the response will remain constant. You can say, like for example, copy testing, like notebook checking. The teacher has said we can check your notebook anytime. So now you will maintain your copy. It will be a constant response which will be there. And fixed interval, that after maybe fifth, like after 6 hours you will get a particular meal, for example. So the person's response will, or the person's whatever performance will keep on declining, and then after receiving the reinforcement it will increase, and then it would decline again. So always remember, ratio schedules are better than interval schedules. And if you are asked to like write them in number of the sequence of their effectiveness, so this is from most effective to least effective. Okay, and it can be asked in other form also, so keep this in mind. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 45. It is based in the theory of Dinah Baumrind. Please read it and try to answer. Okay. Most of you have answered it correctly. It would be demanding, like the authoritarian parents would be demanding, but they would not be responsive. There is this dimension that I've added that you can use to respond. So there is this one dimension of demand and the other dimension of response. So the authoritarian parents would be high on demand, but they would be low on response. Right? These are the features. Then authoritative and so on. You can give it a read. I will be sending in the PPT after the class gets over. Okay. Moving ahead to other question. Question number 46. Fairly simple question. Give it a read and try to answer. Okay, very well done. Most of you have answered it correctly. That the minimum amount of physical energy or the minimum intensity of the stimulus required to detect a stimulus 50% of the times is known as absolute threshold. You can also be asked a lot of the times what is the other name of just noticeable difference. It is difference threshold and vice versa. Okay, moving ahead. Question number 47. Okay, the answer is CAT scan, computed axial topography. PET scans are positron emission topography. Here what will happen, we would be giving the person or the patient a radio active tracer. We will be injecting it within them and we would look at the blood flow. Bold signals will be evaluated. MRI is when we use the magnetic waves which are elicited by the electrical impulses of the brain. CAT scan uses X-ray technology to create the 3D image of the brain, and then we have electroencephalogram where we will be detecting the waves alpha, beta, gamma, etc. of the brain according to the electrical resistance created by the brain. So CAT scans are there. This type of question we did it in 2022 paper also. Please, the concepts are going to be similar only, but just the question will be molded a little. Okay, please go through all the concepts which are there in 2022, 2021 and 2020 paper. These are the main paper. I think the 2020 paper I have uploaded it on like the video on YouTube as well. Go through that. We have discussed everything like we discussed here. So go through that. 21 PDF is also shared. I will try to locate the 20 PDF. I have received a lot of queries in this regard. I will try to do that. Okay, moving ahead. Question number 48. Okay, let us read the question. The question says that support of the attachment parenting argue that babies like to be held all the time. The parent should seek to maximize the amount of physical contact. It is most in line with the findings of whom? It is most in line with the findings of Harlow, where they made like two kinds of mothers for the monkeys, baby monkeys, and there was one which was very cuddly, like which was a comforting mother, and there was the other which was a feeding mother, which was just used to provide milk to the children. Then Gilligan was actually a student of Kohlberg. She talked about the differences in male and female in regard to the moral development, and her theory is known as ethics of care theory. Carol Gilligan is her full name. Then Piaget, Jean Piaget, we know he talked about the cognitive development of the child. We also discussed his theory in the class. Freud, we know that he has also given the psychosexual stages. Moving ahead to question number 49. Okay, very well done. Classical conditioning is our answer here. We read about Marcia Gracia's theory here also. Right? Negative reinforcement, no, it is there for escape and avoidance. Then we have shaping. Shaping is basically the successive approximation. Then we have, there is a lot of disturbance in my background. Okay. And at last, operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is instrumental conditioning based on reward, punishment, etc. No. So, classical conditioning is only our viable option. Moving ahead to the last question that we have. Yes, last question. Okay, this one is just a repetition. Yes. last question that we have. Please give it a read. Okay, very well done. All of you have answered the last question correctly. It is a early behavioristic approach because here they are saying that give me a group of infants, and if I could control the world in which they live in, which means the nurture they are raised, I could predict which will become doctors and which will become sculptor. So it is based on the early behavioristic approach. And very well done everyone. I'm so glad most of you actually attempted all the questions correctly, and it was such a nice class to begin with. You guys can ask me anything that you would like, then I would like to give you a few tips that you can make use of in your exam, and then we would wrap up the class. Okay, you guys can type in your queries that you have. First of all, always relate whatever you are answering to a theory. Always do that. Don't answer on your basic knowledge, common sense. Always relate to a theory. Second of all, while answering reasoning and assertion based question, always first read assertion and reason as two separate statements like you do, right? And then firstly evaluate whether the statements are correct. If they are correct, then only go to looking at the reasoning by using the because technique, because a lot of the time the students actually responds that A and R are correct and it is an explanation or not an explanation. Don't do that. Always refer to your reason and assertion as different statements and then do it. The third uh, like tip that I would like to give you is that whenever you are attempting a question and you are confused in that, always go through your go with your first cut. Okay, because that is correct most of the time. Then please don't change your answers at the last moment, because a lot of the time we start to panic and we start to overanalyze all of the question. Only and only if you are 80 to 100% sure that the answer that you are changing to is correct, only do it then. Don't change your answer at the last moment. A lot of students lose out marks because of this particular aspect. Okay, then at last, now there are very few hours which are left, so please relax. Okay, just go through the basics, just go through the basic theory. Whatever will happen will happen. It will be nice. You have worked hard for it and it will pay off eventually. Okay, so I wish you all the best, And if you guys would have any queries anywhere in regard to any questions that we have solved or anything that you are solving, I would be available, and you can text me or send me the pictures of your questions. Okay, Ishika is asking a question. Ma'am, I had a doubt if in organizational setting a token economy or fixed ratio would work better. Okay, let me give you an example. If you see from a organizational point of view, then obviously we should adopt to something such as token economy. But token economy is always an addition, okay? The person would be getting salary or whatever remuneration that you are providing them initially, and token economy would be an addition to it, right? So the salary that we talk about, it is already based on fixed interval, it is already acting as their reinforcement, right? And after that, if you tell them if you work overtime, then if you have worked overtime for 4 days, then we would give you a trip to Bali or something of that sort. Then maybe that is token economy, that they are collecting on the responses for the later usage. So both of it can be done, right? So but there is already a fixed interval which is being followed while giving remuneration, etc., right? So I think fixed ratio, what we can do in terms of fixed ratio, like it would be a little difficult in order, because people are working for like maybe a month and then they would want their salary. Fixed ratio might not work with that, right? So at last, I wish you all the very very best, and it will go well. Don't worry about it, you will do well. You have prepared enough and you will get succeeded, that's for sure. So don't worry about it. Take care, all of you. Bye bye.